there everybody, Citrus Aviation here with yet another video, and today we have my Atlanta Model Airport setup for February 2022, and we're starting off here with this Lufthansa Airbus A330-300 who'll be heading out to Frankfurt. They operate two aircraft on this route. They operate either an A330-300 that you can see here or an Airbus 340-300. Next in line we have this American Eagle CRJ-900 who'll be heading out to Philadelphia, and it came in from Charlotte earlier today. The Charlotte service on the CRJ-900 is Saturday only. Next up here we have this Delta Airbus A330-300 who'll be going on the Amsterdam turn. Delta doesn't have that many A330 flights out of Atlanta right now. It's basically Amsterdam, what is it? It's just three places, right? GRU. It's Sao Paulo, Amsterdam, and Rome, and the Rome service is on the A330neo. So I hope to be getting an A330neo soon to be able to properly represent that, but for now it'll be on the 300 shown in the video. But this one's going out to Amsterdam. Here we have this Delta 320 who came in from Chicago Midway, and he's in line for a flight out to Indianapolis. The Southwest 737-800 came in from Chicago Midway, and he'll be going out to San Antonio. Next up here we have this Delta Airbus 330-200. This aircraft is about to head out to San Juan, and he came in from Frankfurt. So someone did mention recently that San Juan is an A330-200 route, so I decided to put it in here because previously it's difficult to find A330-200 routes recently out of Atlanta. They saw Lagos, they saw Frankfurt, and they saw San Juan. I'm sure there's like one or two other places, but they don't have that many A330-200 that operate out of Atlanta. WestJet 737-800 is here on the Calgary service. Next up here we have this Delta 767-400. This is now one of two Delta 764s I have. You'll see the second one later in this video. But this aircraft came in from Paris Charles de Gaulle, which appears to be all 767s now. I believe they have two a day. And then he'll be heading out to Buenos Aires. Next, we have the Southwest 737-800. This is in the amazing Freedom 1 livery, which is one of my favorite Southwest liveries, and it is my favorite livery of 2022. This aircraft came in from Denver, and he'll be heading out to Louisville. Next up here we have this Delta 757-200 who came in from Richmond, and he'll be going out to Santa Ana or Red River Aviation's Airport. A subscriber route. If you want one, let me know down in the comments. You have to do it in your own model airport videos, and they have to be on the same aircraft. So we have to have the same aircraft. But as long as you have a Delta plane, it's a very good chance that we both have the same ones, because I have a lot of them. But yeah, it's really interesting to see Delta 757 services into Virginia returning. They have 75s to both Richmond and Norfolk, and you'll see the Norfolk service here later in the video. Kind of funny because the airline I work for, we send ERJ 145s into those towns. Of course, we have the Copa Airlines service to Panama City in Panama, not the one in Florida. But it's really cool to see that Copa service into Atlanta is doing pretty well. They did recently announce that they'll be adding Baltimore to the route network as well. So they are rapidly expanding to a lot of major airports that they really haven't had service to in the past, particularly a lot of East Coast services. So they have Atlanta now, and they are going to be adding Baltimore in the near future, and I suspect a lot of other East Coast destinations. Here we have one of my favorite models in the collection. This is the Southwest Boeing 737-700 in the Missouri 1 special livery. I love these State 1 liveries from Southwest. I think they are, in my opinion, the best collection of special liveries in the world to maybe ever have been created. So they're pretty awesome. This aircraft is on a flight out to Kansas City, and he came in from St. Louis, two of Southwest Missouri destinations into Atlanta. I believe they're the only Missouri destinations. I don't think they have Springfield to Atlanta, but they do have Kansas City and St. Louis. Behind the A330, here we have the 757-300. This aircraft came in from San Diego, and will be going out to Orlando. Orlando is the most common destination for the 753 out of Atlanta, but they do have a couple others, and San Diego is the other one. It seems like they really pulled back on the 753 out of Atlanta. They don't have as many out of Atlanta as they used to. And it seems like the 753 has gotten redistributed to other hubs in the Delta network. Next up, we got this Continental Retro United 737-900 who'll be going out to Denver. It's really cool to see this service here with United serving Denver and the 900s. I did finally get the Continental Globe and the Evo Blue 739s from NG. So you'll be seeing those in future videos. I haven't unboxed them yet, so I haven't gotten a good look at them yet, but from the pictures, they are good models, and NG makes very nice Boeing 737-900s. They look very realistic and look great on any display. Next up, we got the Frontier A320. This aircraft will be heading out to Denver, and he came in from Detroit earlier. Now, Frontier services are mostly on the Neo now, but they do occasionally still have A320s, like on that Detroit service. And I just decided to add the Denver one, as really they don't have many A320s. I could only find them going to Detroit, so I just put it on Denver. Next up, here we have this Delta A321. This aircraft will head out later today to Dallas-Fort Worth, or Red River Aviation's airport, and he is currently taxiing into the gate from Cleveland Hopkins International Airport as DL2523. I list this flight specifically because I recently went to Atlanta, did some plane spotting there on the 9th of January, and I flew in on this exact flight from Cleveland in the jump seat in the cockpit. So the Airbus 321 actually has two jump seats in the cockpit, and it's really spacious, super nice jump seat experience. I really enjoyed flying it, and getting to see the view from the head office on the 321 was fantastic. For anyone who walks in the aviation industry, if you have jump seat privileges, I highly recommend using them because it is an experience. It's so awesome to experience what the view from the flight deck is like, and I realize for basically everyone watching this video, except for maybe a couple of people, you will never get to experience that just because of how the regulations are, that only very specific people ever get allowed to do that. And it's something that I will really remember for the rest of my life, because being able to see that view as a dispatcher is fantastic. And I understand that most people never get to see that, and it's something that I'll remember for a long, long time. Next in line, and the last one really in line that I have here, we have this Delta Airlines Boeing 717-200. He came in from Louisville and will be going out to Tulsa or Red River Aviation's airport. Loading up, here we got this Delta A330-300 who will be going out to Sao Paulo. Here we have the Delta Airbus 350 at my A380 gate, which can be used for regular wide bodies like seen here, but it also can fit an Airbus 380. Here you have this Delta A350. He came in from Seoul and Incheon and going out to Los Angeles. It's really cool to see that Los Angeles to Atlanta is one of Delta's A350 routes. I am going to try and get on this flight at some point because I would love to fly transcon on an A350. I really enjoyed my experience when I flew transcon on a United 752 and then a United 777-200. Those were great flights, and I'm looking forward to trying it again. It's a long flight. It's like 6 hours each way on average, sometimes less, sometimes more. But the transcon flights are fun to get on. It's a great experience if you can fly a transcon flight on a wide body. If you are paying for it, it's not too expensive, but it's an interesting experience nonetheless. Something that's fun to do. Next up here, we got this Delta Boeing 757-200. This is the non-winglet version of the 752. Delta does still have a bunch of these that they operate mostly to Florida destinations, such as in this case, this aircraft is taxiing out for a flight out to Miami, and it came in from Fort Lauderdale earlier. The 752s without winglets just aren't quite as efficient in terms of the operations, but there are still a few of them around. You'll usually see them operating on the higher density routes to very popular vacation destinations like we saw with Fort Lauderdale and Miami. Next up here, we got this United Max 8. We're going out to Newark. The United 737-900 will be going out to San Francisco. And the United 737-700 will be going out to Washington Dulles. The Delta 757-200 came in from Tampa and will be going out to Orlando. Alright, finally we have this Delta A330-300. This is the third and final A330 route that they operate out of Atlanta, and this one is going to Rome. Now this service is no longer on the regular A330s, but instead on the A330 Neo. Here we have a 737-900 who came in from San Francisco and will be going out to Savannah. Pushing back, here we have this Delta 737-800 who will be going out to Newark or Hawaiian AR 2121's airport. He's got a pretty neat Newark airport setup, and I'm very glad to have a sub route. And then he came in from Norfolk, Virginia earlier today. This Boeing 737-800 came in from Destin Fort Walton Beach and will be going out to Raleigh-Durham. It seems like I always have a Delta 752 parked here, and that continues to be the case. As here is the 752 who is loading up for a flight out to Norfolk or JT Pilot's home airport. This is a really neat setup. I'm really happy to have this setup. It looks really busy, just like how it would at the Axel ramp in Atlanta. It can be very chaotic on the ramp there. And here we got the 752 just loading up. We're going out to Norfolk, and he came in from Jacksonville earlier. There are a lot of Delta 757s to Florida. Here we have another Delta 737-800, and these aircraft, once again, they seem to be becoming a little bit more common. This aircraft came in from Cincinnati and will be going out to Raleigh-Durham. Alright, we now get to some of our regional flights to some really small destinations in the southeast, and a lot of these I'm very familiar with because for Commute Air, as a dispatcher, I fly to a lot of these places with the 145s for C5 from either Houston or Dallas. So a lot of these places I'm very familiar with, even though maybe some of you who are listening to this video may have never heard of any of these places in the southeast. They are still really neat little airports that serve great little markets that otherwise would not have air service. But here we have the CRJ-900 who is coming in from Charlottesville, Virginia, and he'll be going out to Chattanooga, Tennessee. The Delta 717 came in from Houston Hobby and will be going out to Newark. The CRJ-700 came in from Lafayette in Louisiana. Yes, there is a Lafayette in Indiana, but there's also a Lafayette in Louisiana, LFT. And then he'll be going out to North Ellsworth Island. And so that's an airport, and both these airports are ones that have shorter runways, which is probably why Delta Connection operates the CRJ-700. They don't have many 700 routes out of Atlanta, but it seems like every one they do have is mostly because of shorter runways. You'll see this with their service to State College, Pennsylvania, Key West, Florida, and a couple of other random CRJ-700 routes that they have. This CRJ-900 came in from Charleston, West Virginia, and we're going out to Augusta, Georgia. The final Delta CRJ that we have came in from Springfield, Missouri, and we're going out to Huntsville in Alabama. Next up, we got the 737-800, we're going out to Miami for American Airlines. And then we have what is basically the common mainline aircraft out of Atlanta for American Airlines. This is the A321. This aircraft came from Phoenix, and we're going out to Dallas-Fort Worth. So I said that there would be two Delta 767-400s, and here it is. This is a new model. I haven't posted the video yet of it, but it'll be coming out soon. This is the Delta 767-400, and this one is in the Sky Team colors. This is a custom that I bought on eBay for $106 US. So that's quite expensive. One of the most expensive models I ever bought, but I'm happy to secure it. It does have a couple little issues, but I am still glad to have picked it up. This aircraft is pushing back for a flight out to Orlando at Delta Flight 549. I highlight this flight because they do operate once a day 767-400 service to Orlando. That's a pretty big deal. And then he came in from London Heathrow earlier. So those are the four destinations that 767s operate out of for Delta out of Atlanta. They operate to Buenos Aires, London Heathrow, Paris Charles de Gaulle, and Orlando, and those are the four 764 destinations you could fly out of Atlanta on Delta Airlines. Delta does though have way more A350 options, shown here by this A350 who'll be going out to Johannesburg, and he came in from Cape Town earlier. That's right, two A350 destinations to South Africa out of Atlanta. That's pretty impressive. Delta's basically filling in the market that South African Airways would have had, and a lot of other airlines are jumping on board as well, as recently United now announced a service to Cape Town out of both Newark and Washington Dulles as well. Next up, we got the regular Virgin Atlantic A350 service to London Heathrow. Pretty cool to see that this is an A350-1000. Really neat aircraft. Next up, we got yet another aircraft that I flew on when I went to Atlanta. Here we have the Spirit A320neo. This aircraft came in from Philadelphia, and he'll be going out to Cleveland as flight 1083. I recently flew on this one. I rode in seat 12 Alpha, I think it was. 12 or 13 Alpha. It was the second emergency exit row window seat. Pretty neat. And it was a great flight, actually. Spirit was not that bad. Particularly the onboard experience on Spirit Airlines was really good. I'll be having a video about it. Kind of a comparison video between the best and worst reputation airline in the US going to Atlanta. It'll be a really fun day trip video to make. But that was a great experience, and Spirit was not as bad, at least with the onboard experience, as their reputation might state, although some other parts of the Spirit experience were not that great. Next up here we got the Delta Airbus 321. This aircraft came in from Albuquerque or Red River Aviation's airport and will be going out to Phoenix or also Red River Aviation's airport. Getting loaded up, here we have this Delta 737-900 and he's loading up for a flight out to Kansas City and he came in from Bradley earlier. The next aircraft is the Southwest 737-700 who came in from Washington Reagan National and will be going out to Jackson in Mississippi. Here we have another 700 that came in from Denver and will be going out to New York LaGuardia. And we have our final two aircraft. Here the 737-800 came in from Orlando and will be going out to Tampa. And then our final aircraft of the video is the 700 who came in from Washington Reagan National and will be going out to Houston Hobby. So that is it for this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day and God bless you. Next up, we have this Delta Boeing 757-200 who came in from Richmond and we're going out to this 753 will be going out to San Diego and he came in from not New Mexico. I don't know what I was saying there. Here we have the Delta, this ain't a Delta plane, that's a United. Next up, we got the Frontier A320neo. Well, it's not a Neo, it's a regular one. Next up, here we got this Delta Airbus 321, and this aircraft will be heading out to Dallas Fort. Here we have Here we have a 737-800 who came in. Wait, is that an 800 or 900? That's 900. All right. A lot of Delta 75s to Florida. There are a lot of Delta 75s to Florida. Blah blah blah. There are a lot of Delta 757s to Florida. But here we have this 730, that's not 737,